when you were the head of the creative writing program,
Yes,
and you presented the World Peace Literature Award to Shri Чинмой.
that's correct.
And
I had that award created, made down the street from my house at a store that makes trophies, and I wrote the copy. I wrote the words.
wow.
Yeah. But
Right.
it was a great pleasure for me to do that because Shri Chinmoy's publications, his writing of a spiritual nature, is voluminous. It's many, 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 many books, and I think they are all very valuable, which is why it's for spiritual writing, this award.
That's right. Yeah, you gave it for spiritual writing. In fact,
I met Shri Чинмой before that. It was even before that when he came to the University of Washington. And I remember he would lift up people.
Oh, that was prior to that you met him and were lifted by Shri Чинмой.
That's correct, yes.
Whoa.
That was my first meeting.
Okay. What was it like for you? Please tell me, what was it like for you to be lifted by Shri Чинмой?
Well, it was a unique experience. It was like nothing I've ever experienced before. I remember what impressed me the most, certainly the deep spirituality that emanated from Shri Чинмой, but also the kindness and generosity of all the people associated with him, like yourself.
Well, if we have kindness or generosity, we hope to have imbibed a tiny drop. Imagine the kindness he showered everyone with, and the love, and you spoke about that, if I recall right, after you were, I'm forgetting your exact words, after you were lifted, you said something that I still remember was very deeply spiritual. You said a few words.
I can't remember what those words were, but I do remember on a second occasion when Shri Чинмой came to the University of Washington, and we met in the Student Center Auditorium. That's where it was.
Yes, yes.
He played for me a Buddhist composition or song. I remember that. That was a very kind and generous gesture.
Well, Shri Чинмой was deeply moved by your spirituality, and he was so inspired. Here we have a man who is a world famous writer, National Book Award winner, and actually I think at that time, by then you had already been the National Book Award judge, I think. And
I was a judge for all the contests, the Pulitzer, the National Book Award, 3 times for both of those.
For both of those. So he knew, he really knew about all your background, and but he said I remember him speaking about you, and he was so moved that such a great writer, and he had read many of your writings. I excerpted from several of your books, and also I wanted to show him a bit of the range. I showed some cartoons, which was
oh God, really? I didn't know.
Yeah, he was astounded, and he said something like, "Oh, he's like me. He likes he likes many different types of creation."
Yes, and we have wonderful drawings from Shri Чинмой.
Oh,
I think his point, which I believe in deeply, is that if you have a spiritual practice, that spiritual practice allows you to manifest good things in many different ways, many different art forms. In his case, with the lifting, he was addressing athletics, so that for athletes, for artists, for musicians, it really helps to have a grounding in a spiritual practice. It's not a register or dimension that we see often enough in literary writers. It just isn't there for one reason or another. But I've always valued those people who are moving through this world, on their journey, who inspire us to tap into that wealth that we have within ourselves. All of us have.
Yes, yes. Well, actually, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you about was how you are a very deeply spiritual man, and you put it into practice. I mean, you learned, if I'm right, you learned how to read Pali so you could read
Not Pali, Sanskrit.
Sanskrit, even better. So you could go to the original slokas and get the real spiritual flavor. I mean, that to me is astounding. And so your living spirituality is so profound. And I was wondering what could you say about how has it influenced your own writings?
Oh, it's all over my writings. Really all over my writings. I've been studying Sanskrit since 1998.
Whoa.
I will never be a Sanskrit scholar. I'm a Sanskrit student because I can't do it every day. But it's a beautiful language. It's the language of the Bhagavad Gita. It's and it spawned or gave birth to Pali and a number of other religions as well, languages as well. Marathi, Hindi, so it really is a base for understanding many things. But yeah, this is very important. I think that if we have a spiritual practice, now I don't tell anyone what their spiritual practice should be if they're honestly pursuing it, because that will make them a person, a man or woman of peace and generosity towards others, right? And we need people to remind us of that so much right now in our world.
Yes.
There's so much violence in America. There's the terrible things that are happening in Ukraine right now.
Yes.
Break my heart. So we really need those people who understand the importance of nonviolence, our connectedness to each other, the richness that we all possess within ourselves to do good and to create beauty in this world.
That's beautiful. Well, I'm grateful to hear that. You've already told me my next question. I was going to ask you about when you first met Shri Чинмой, what it was like, and you've shared that with me beautifully. And I want to ask you something that has struck me so profoundly, and I wrote it in my email. I wonder if you might say this again too, because I think it will melt the hearts of everyone. But you had told me something, it was in 2009, after Shri Чинмой's passing, and you dictated this, I think, on the phone, or you may have sent it to me, but you said, I am a strong Buddhist, and I wish to say that every age needs an avatar. The Christ, the Buddha, Lord Krishna have all come as avatars for the entire world. The avatar for our era is Shri Чинмой, you said.
Well, I don't remember exactly writing that, but I do believe in the truth behind those words. We do need avatars, people who are leading a spiritual life to ground, to give us an example, to give the rest of us an example. I believe Shri Чинмой was devoted to doing just that.
Yes, in every way, that was his life, to help inspire us. And he actually wrote separate plays and other books about this, his avatar plays, one on the Christ, one on Lord Buddha. I could send you the one on Lord Buddha, particularly if you're interested, because it's a beautiful kind of, it's his telling of the story of Lord Buddha's life, but in his way. It's quite lovely. I'm going to send
I would like to receive it. I have many of Shri Чинмой's books here in my house.
Well, over the years, and I know he's always wanted to present you with them. And would you be able to say to our listeners as well, this is something you wrote, and you said in 2004, you said to him, and it kind of interests me, as a spiritual writer, you are supremely, he wrote to you, you are a supremely great writer, and yet you have most generously inundated me with your appreciation ocean for my spiritual creations. He sent you a letter with that. And then after his passing, you very kindly read out the wisdom chapter from the Jewels of Happiness.
That's correct, yes.
And it was, to me, of all the chapters anyone read, it was the most moving. It was so beautifully, you have a sonorous voice, but also your depth of spirituality is so powerful. And I wonder if you can share with us, because you're a supremely great writer, as Shri Чинмой said, how you experience Shri Чинмоi's writings.
Well, they're like, I could express it in many, many ways. They're like a breath of fresh air. They're like oxygen when you need oxygen. They are a reminder of our possibilities, for pursuing the good, the true, and the beautiful in this life. And they have a great deal of generosity.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I know that Shri Чинмой, in his life, he always wanted to try new things and he wasn't like, when even in lifting, in the last year, he said to me, can you think of some new things I can do in the lifting world? I mean, he lifted so many, and I had an inspiration that he could lift a huge, huge air balloon that would weigh a lot of weight, but he could lift it. It was and be beautiful. So he did it. And then he was open to anything new, and he loved newness. I'm wondering, in your life, I mean, you've basically won almost every award. I mean, hopefully you'll be getting the Nobel Prize in Literature. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's a very political one, so I don't know about
but that's
that.
Political, yeah.
This is very political.
And that was in the case of Shri Чинмой, also should have, I think, gotten for peace. But anyway, we don't. But I know you should be the one. But anyway, that's my heart.
You're very kind, Agраha.
No, I mean it. But do you have certain sort of, how to express myself, certain things in mind, in your heart or in your inner vision of new writing experiences or new other experiences you hope to share with the world, or are you just kind of taking it by how it comes to you?
Well, I'm writing constantly. Right now, I'm writing a talk I have to give to a group in Texas of South Asians on the importance of democracy and participation in our political lives. That's May 7th. I have to deliver that talk. So that's where my focus is right now. I give lots of talks. I've been retired from teaching now for 14 years.
Yes.
But I write all manner of things, whether they're essays or book reviews or philosophical essays, things that people request. And every year I write a new story for Humanities Washington's Bedtime Stories fundraiser in October.
Wow.
And I started that event in 1998, actually. I gave them the idea, and I've written a story every year for them, a different story.
Wow.
So one of the wonderful things about creativity is you're never, if you're not a genre writer, okay, but if you're a serious literary writer, everything you do is different. Every project you take on has different problems to be solved, and every one will lead you to new discovery.
Wow.
Unlike, the other things that you've done.
Yeah.
So your mind is always, being fresh, being challenged. And to me, that's one of the wonders and beauties of creative work,
right,
of any kind.
Right. So you have a being that is younger than most people who are like 15 or 16. I mean, because you're so growing. You're alive, you're creative, and many people who are 15, 16, 17 even, they're already ossified, in what they're planning. But you have like this freshness about you.
Well, I do think that has to do with my curiosity
Yeah.
about life and the world
Yeah.
and knowing more new things, gathering new skills as much as I can. I'll be in a couple of weeks 74 years old. And
Whoa.
I have been working steadily since I was a teenager and studying, obviously, all my entire life. You see, here's the thing I believe. I believe that life is a gift.
Mm.
Every life is a gift.
Mm.
And one of the ways that we show the appreciation for that gift is doing things for others. It might be creating gifts for them in literature or teaching, is a gift that we're
Yes.
giving to the next generation. So every night in my prayers and meditations, I always express that gratitude for the gift of life.
Mm. It's interesting you say that word because someone once asked Shri Чинмой about gratitude, and he said, if you pray for gratitude, that is the only quality you need to pray for, because gratitude encompasses every divine quality.
That's it. That's yes.
If you have gratitude, you'll have peace, love, joy, happiness, service, everything. So all you have to do, pray for gratitude. And that's interesting you say gratitude. Yeah.
I think it's very important. Thanksgiving, gratitude.
Mm.
The world we live in is a very beautiful place when we listen to our better angels.
Yeah, our better angels.
And our spiritual teachers.
Yes.
Are our better angels. They are the ones who remind us that every moment of our life is fresh and new.
And
every
important.
day, every moment.
You're right. Wow.
Yes.
No, you're so right. Yeah. What you're saying is very true. Shri Чинмой kept emphasizing that, and exactly
Really?
what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. He
I
said,
think
no.
regardless of the tradition one is in,
Mm.
any religion, any spiritual tradition, those wise men and women say many, if not all, of the same things, because their path and attainment has brought them to a common human universal wisdom. And so you can find it in Judaism and Christianity and Hinduism and Buddhism. No one religion, it seems to me, or spiritual orientation has a monopoly.
That's right.
On the truth. And so very often, you will hear the same thing being said, sometimes in different ways, different words, but it is always expressing gratitude for the gift of life.
That's true. In fact, someone asked Shri Чинмой once, they said, what is your religion? He said, I was born into a Hindu family, but now my religion is to love God and serve humanity. That is my religion. So you
that is that's it. That's all one needs to say or do.
Well, let me ask you one more question. You have so much insight. Let us say if Shri Чинмой were sitting with you now, right across from you, and you were to say, Shri Чинмой, the world is having a lot of, like you said, a lot of challenges right now.
Yes.
What is your advice for us? What do you think he would say?
What do I think he would say?
His guidance, yeah.
I think he would say that we should, well, I'm trying to get my phrasing right on this. I would think he would say that we need to have compassion for each other.
Yes.
And love each other as much as we seem to love ourselves, and understand that all beings, all sentient beings experience suffering and want happiness.
Yes.
Those two things. Buddhists always talk about that. So maybe Shri Чинмой would say the same thing. All sentient beings want happiness and freedom from suffering.
Yeah.
And if one can understand that, you will not want to increase suffering for any other sentient being, and you want them to experience happiness, and you feel joy in their happiness, right? At the same time. That,
Yeah, that's true. I remember when Shri Чинмой met you, for example, and he was just so happy. It's almost like he had met a fellow, well, he had met a seeker, a very strong, powerful
yes.
spiritual seeker. And when you honored him, it was yes, it was a great honor, but it was also, oh, here's someone I can count on. Here's someone who's, a part of my heart. And he just
Well,
loved.
I can say that one of the blessings of my life during my journey through life is that I had the opportunity to meet and know Shri Чинмой.
Can you say one more thing about that? Anything else that what that gave
Well,
you?
well, when I have a photograph of him and me together that was taken at one of those events, and he's giving me a bow like that, and I just felt the spiritual connection so strongly. Yeah, you want to smile when you're in his presence, right?
Yeah.
You feel peace when you're in his presence, and that is, believe me, a gift. Yes, he's going to be with us, you, me, forever. I mean, he is a part of us.